welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet. 2 out of 5 fingers agree. I am your host. I'm big, I'm mean, I'm from the lands in between. I'm Lani Pator, and lock up your maidens because this week I am joined by Jesse.
Hey.
We're here to chat about Elden Ring, a series that this is like your first time jumping into like a Souls game, like a Souls-born Fromsoft game.
Yeah, I hadn't even watched playthroughs of Bloodborne anything, so.
So you're unfamiliar with our boy, Dumpelstiltskin.
I am.
So wait, anytime you've come in here, you've just like, have you questioned the giant blue head that we had?
I've learned not to. I think you just walk into the studio and I'm like, yep, that's a giant, like, stuffed plush of, I think what's its name? It's the gray skin, and it's big, it's a
Dumpling?
Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Yeah, we got one of him back there too.
Yeah, I'm like, sure. Like, that's a thing, I'm sure.
We've had so many amazing things sent in, but this is the one that I think blew my mind the most when I opened it up, because who sends a mask? An actual crafted latex mask of a Fromsoft, like a Fromsoft Monster Mash generated character. This was, honestly, from the first thing we ever did on stream, 4-star, was our Bloodborne drinking game.
It looks so good that it's upsetting a little bit.
Right?
I'm like, is that an actual face that's gonna start moving? Or
I feel so bad because I can't even remember who sent it in, but this has, like, it's so beautiful. It's our boy. It's Dumpelstiltskin, and Bloodborne was actually the game that got me into FromSoft games too. So I wanted to set him here with a fancy hunter's hat on to bear witness to the ongoing proceedings. Thank you, Uncle Dumple. He's a good man. Before we get into talking about Elden Ring, we've got a little thing I like to call the rundown, where we go over some stuff that has been going on throughout the week that maybe wouldn't get its full share in terms of full episode topic conversation-wise. Trying to think of things that have like really come out, honestly.
yeah.
I saw the Jujutsu Kaisen movie last night, but Kaiser and I are actually going to be doing a full review of that right here on youtube.com/4starbento. Those are the words I'm looking for. So look forward to that review. But long story short, that was pretty good. Like, it felt like... Have you watched Jujutsu Kaisen at all?
No.
Okay. It's really good. Very well animated. Yeah. Very strong shonen stuff. It felt like a season of the show, crammed into, like, a little under 2 hours, which, you know, just incredibly well-paced. It's exactly what I kind of wanted a Jujutsu Kaisen movie to be. So, solid stuff. If you're into the show, I recommend it. Full review pending. So, tune in. We'll see what Kaiser thinks about that later on. Other than that, thinking of other things that have come out. Did you ever watch have you been watching anything lately? Like, any new stuff that's been coming out, or anything that's just kind of like sparked some interest lately?
It's not new. I've been watching the Air Bud movies.
Please go on.
I'm writing for something that I'm like, oh, there needs to be something playing on the background, like during streaming services and TV and stuff while these characters are interacting. Why don't we do an Air Bud parody? That means I have to watch Air Bud. so I watched Air Bud, and honestly, it's dumb as hell, but in like a charming 90s way.
Oh yeah.
So I had a good time. I was like, this is dumb as hell.
Absolutely.
And the end scene, it just gets crazier and crazier. There's a court scene at the end that's like, just keeps getting more ridiculous.
Dogs can play basketball.
Yeah, like,
no,
it's...
You're talking about a franchise that starts with a dog that just needs to play basketball, and then he moves on to other sports. Mm-hmm. And the franchise ends up with his children going into space and saving Christmas not once but twice, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I went on my stream, I was talking about Air Bud, and we looked up a lot of things. And just so you know, don't have to look it up, just believe me, all the puppies that worked on Snow Buddies are fine.
Good.
They're all fine, they're all alive, everything's fine with them, you don't have to look it up, everything's great with them.
I'm very happy to hear that. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned that you felt the need to bring it up, though.
Well, I just want to make sure you do.
I do know.
That everything's fine.
Same with all the animals from Milo and Otis. I'm sure they are all happy and healthy as well. Nothing bad ever happened to them ever.
For sure.
The director just Not a bad person, apparently. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to look it up.
Don't need to look that up.
They're
Don't
all
look
great.
up either of those movies behind the scenes and how they treated animals. It's great.
They're all
great.
fine.
They're all fine.
Air Bud has so much sex in the third movie.
Good!
It's so much sex.
Which sport is he doing in that one? Is that baseball? Is that
Soccer.
where Soccer. Woo, okay. You know
Yeah.
what? World's biggest sport, makes sense that he fucks.
And as far as dogs go, I mean, you might as well fuck Air Bud. I mean, he's a professional athlete.
Thrice over at that point.
Yeah, not a bad choice.
Is it the same Air Bud in every movie?
The same character so far.
Yeah, I'm obviously it's not the same dog.
Yeah,
Like, you
I
know.
think they changed in the second movie, but yeah, the third one is
But
the first one that goes straight to
kayfabe,
DVD.
it's the same. So like in the movie series, that is the same dog.
Yeah,
not
it's-
the same actor dog.
Yeah, because it's the same family, like the kid whose name I already, Josh, I don't know. It's the same guy. So we'll see if the fourth movie, if I keep going, I don't know. It's getting to the point where I'm like, do I keep going? Because I know what this series turns into, and it's that feeling of like when the puppies appeared. You know that thing where you're like, if I saw baby Hitler, would I get rid of it? Do I want to get rid of these puppies so that the series doesn't turn into this like this? It cannibalizes itself.
It seems
Because
like
I had assumed there were more Air Bud movies than Buddies movies.
No.
Yeah, Seventh Inning Fetch I thought was the seventh Air Bud movie.
Nope.
That makes sense. Nope, it's like the fourth. What? So there are more Buddies movies than Buddy. I don't know. I don't know if I have to keep going, but what part of myself will I lose in the process?
At this point, it's just a completionist thing in you.
Yeah,
You
I'm
just-
like I gotta
you need to know the lore of Air Bud.
Yeah,
Like, is there an Air Bud wiki out there where you can just like follow
there
through?
is.
And... okay,
We
good.
found it on stream, and I was like, oh great, there's a wiki. In case you need any Air Bud facts,
So
we got you covered.
Does it ever cross over with the Beethoven universe?
Not that I know of.
Oh man, that's
That would
like
be wild. I want a cinematic dog universe.
yeah. Let's get our cinematic petaverse. I don't know. That sounds bad. No. Scratch that. Cut that one.
Was there ever an Air Bud AirPod commercial?
Air Bud AirPod commercial?
I don't-
Probably not.
I don't think so,
I
because
don't
they stopped at some point in like the 2000 somethings.
The 20 teens at least. I remember the Buddies movies continuing on. And I don't know at what point this happened, but I know that in one of the movies at some point they decided, you know what, let's just have the puppies talk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Dad never talked, but the puppies can.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe there's a Baby Geniuses crossover there somewhere, or a Cats and Dogs crossover. There's a franchise that's up for a revival.
Yeah, let's you know what? It's 2022. Let's make more Air Bud movies.
More dog movies. Let's go. Not nearly enough anymore. I remember back in the 90s, there'd be a dog movie for everything. Every
Yeah.
cop had a dog partner at one point or another.
Yeah. Every year there was a dog talking movie coming out. Mm-hmm. And now that's what's wrong with the world, is we don't have more dog talking movies.
The last theatrical dog movie I remember is Marmaduke. And that was like back in 2009. That's sad. That's been way too long. Way too long since we've had it. Wait, no, Clifford. Clifford came out. But that's not quite the same, is
Isn't
it?
there a movie in theaters now that's called a dog movie or something?
It's
Is there?
The dog doesn't talk. It's called Dog, and Channing Tatum transports a dog.
Oh, good! So we are bringing back the dog movies!
Yeah, I want, at some point, Channing Tatum's character has to fall asleep and the dog talks to him. If that doesn't happen in the movie, I'll be very sad.
Okay, good. So the dog partner movie is coming back. I'm surprised Channing Tatum. I was expecting like Batista or something. You
Yeah.
know, like it's almost always like the big tough guy, but I guess Channing Tatum, he has the comedy chops to do that, but you always expect him to be a much more serious character. Which is
Yeah.
why I feel like Batista would work.
Yeah, I've been surprised with Channing Tatum and also Michael, the wrestler, Cena?
Oh, John Cena?
John Cena. I was combining Michael Cera.
Oh, I want to see that fusion now. I'm picturing Michael Cera's face just with a jacked body.
Yeah, and just the tiny voice, like, hello, and he's
Hello.
just fucking a wall.
I'm gonna wallop you. Now there's a FromSoft character.
Yeah. I've been surprised with their comedic timing. Like,
Oh yeah.
they're great. Like,
Did you watch Peacemaker?
not yet.
Not yet. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like
the Suicide Squad. That I was like
Exactly.
really impressed with his like comedic timing.
No, he's come like a long way. I mean, it helps like starting out as a wrestler. You kind of learn how to think on your feet because you're out there performing live, you know. So
Yes, it's a lot of improv.
You got to work the crowd. You got to work with the people that you're working with, and some of those people that you're working with don't have nearly the amount of charisma. So sometimes you got to learn how to carry a scene. But then when you're working with people that are like on par, it's like, oh shit, just
Yeah.
yeah, no. Scene is great. I was really happy with him in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Trying to think if there's anything that came out recently that I've been watching. I had a couple of people telling me that I should check out Diabolical, but there was one like the Boys spinoff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that little anime thing. But there was one comment that just threw me off. I was like, okay, maybe I will watch it. And somebody in the comments went and said, they're just shorts, idiot. Take some time and watch it and stop bitching. I'm like, I'm not watching it now. Now I'm not, no.
Don't you love that when the internet tells you?
tells you you're an idiot for not doing so. I was like, you're just shorts, quit bitching and watching. I'm like, or I could not, and now I'm not. So I still haven't seen Diabolical if you're in the comments.
But if you bully us enough,
if you bully me enough, maybe I will. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not keeping my hair like this because I'm looking for attention. Why even shut up?
It looks cute today, by the way.
Thank you. Just wanted to see if my hair was long enough to pull it into a side. It was. Go figure.
It's working.
Hair does not stop growing. But I think that'll do it for the rundown. Only one big TFS announcement, and that's that the next episode of Hiffle coming soon. So stay tuned there.
Hell yeah.
And now on to the Elden Ring. Now, like I said, my first experience with a Souls game was Bloodborne, and they are not very newbie friendly.
Yeah.
They will slap you in the face, especially if you go to like the gatekeeper boss of Bloodborne was a man by the name of Gascoigne. And he will destroy you unless you know the game's mechanics. In this game, that wall's name was Market. How did you fare against Market? I know you edited the compilation video, so you've seen many of my struggles with Market.
Yeah, it took a bit, but it was like, it's honestly very fun, because like I was saying in the playthrough, this is my first game where I've had to like actually try to play. And I had a chat who was able to help me, you know, through stuff. And the advantage to me playing the game, I think I started playing the game like a week or so after it already came out.
Right.
The advantage to that is I was amazed, there were people in my chat who had already beaten the game like twice by that point.
It's crazy to me how fast some people are with this.
Yeah, so they were able to help me through things, because like, you know, in my chat, like, I don't like spoilers, but I do like, you know, like, they're very polite also. They're like, would you like a hint? And I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
And they were able to help me. I'm, you know, if I'm doing too many hard swings and I need to do shorter swings and then back away, and I'm learning a lot.
There's a rhythm to it that you kind of like pick up as you go.
Yeah, because like watching you play it, I was like, oh, I'm understanding that it's like a dance, you know, where he's doing the same moves at a certain time. And if I can dodge that, I know muscle memory kicks in at a certain point, and I can track what he's going to do.
You start to recognize the patterns. It's like, okay, I know to dodge here, dodge there, jump here. Here's where I can attack.
Yeah. So I learned that, and it took a bit, but we won. And that's like, it makes the victories that much sweeter. It like feels so good when you finally beat him. And it's great to like have an audience where like like everyone's rooting for you, and then when you finally beat it, everyone's like, "Fuck yeah!" You know?
Yeah, I had an experience like that last night actually, just before I was going to go see the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. I'm fighting this boss. It's an optional endgame boss. People say it is the hardest Soulsborne boss there has ever been. I'm not sure if that's true, but it certainly kicked my ass a lot. This particular character has a couple of attacks that are pretty much if you get caught in it, you're dead. Like some one-hit, no-win scenarios for you. And I was just getting trashed over and over and over again until finally I put together like the right combination of gear. I got the right summons out. I got everything in the right time, and we just slaughtered it.
Hell yeah.
The moment where you defeat that wall is what makes these Souls games so fucking good, because that sense of triumph, that, oh my god, like you said, especially when you have like a live chat there with you, watching you go through this, because you start to feel kind of bad about yourself for a little bit. It's like, oh man, there's a bunch of people watching me die over and over again. I've heard this person's death taunt so many times. Like for 2 hours, I was bashing my head against this thing.
Yeah, because like when I was editing, Margit just foolish ambitions just keeps playing over and over. It's like,
Ambitions. Yep.
maybe I do have foolish ambitions.
Stop being mean. The one thing I really appreciate about this game is it is almost certainly the most beginner-friendly Souls game I've played so far.
Yeah.
Because they give you so many different tools to make certain situations easier, namely like the summoning bell, where you can bring out, just an NPC to help, and they won't benefit the enemy. Unlike if you try to summon like in-game help from either another player or one of those, like Roger outside of Margit's place. Yeah. If you summon one of them, the enemy will then hit harder and have more health.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It is something that they don't explain. There are a lot of things the game doesn't tell you, but it's part of the system. If you have help, the enemy will take less damage and deal more to make it more even, so to say. But yeah, they give you the summoning ashes, they give you a whole bunch of different ways to build yourself, and a whole bunch of different ways to go if you don't want to keep running into Margit over and over again. After running into Margit for like an hour and a half, I think, on my stream, which I got pretty close to beating him a couple of times before I gave up, I was just like, we're just gonna go explore. We're gonna walk around this entire southern part of this continent because I can, and they aren't through Margit. So
yeah. It's nice to take a lap. Just like, calm down. Let's go. Let's go for a walk.
We're gonna go explore a place, and I found this little southern island, and it has all these weird little things going on with this like workers' revolt from this little race of monster men that I guess these people were using as slaves. So you kind of walk in there, it's like, oh, the servants revolted and they killed everybody. It's like, yeah, but you also, like, it's clear that they were slaves. So this revolt may... I'm having a hard time picking a side here is what I'm saying.
Yeah, my chat explained that. I came in and I was like, oh my god, and they explained the situation. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna walk around. Like, yeah, good for you guys. Like,
it's a workers' revolt, and it's crazy because like this is one of the beautiful things about like the Souls games. They don't tell you everything outright. Like there's a girl outside of the destroyed caravan there that will tell you, yeah, no, I left the castle because the all of the workers started to kill everybody, and my dad wanted me to be safe. It's like, okay, you walk past this wreckage where you see all these dogs eating bodies and stuff. It's all this visual storytelling where the game isn't telling you exactly what happened, but you can kind of figure it out through clues. And as you go through that castle and you see these piles of bodies and all these monsters that have destroyed people for enslaving them for so long, and you end up in this kind of dungeon-like area, and there's a body that has an item on it, and the only item it has is a whip. So it's like, okay, you kind of put together what's been happening here and why these monsters are doing what they're doing, but they're all still trying to kill you, so you got to deal with that.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah,
we look scary. Like we could just be someone here to like kick their ass.
Yeah, you can't make a normal character in a Fromsoft game. I think it's illegal. They always have to have like no mouth or all mouth. It's no in between. You always max sliders unless you're trying to make a anime character.
My favorite two genders.
Exactly. Max sliders.
Max mouth.
No
mouth.
That's all you got. All chin, no chin. You either go full Jay Leno or full McConnell. There's no in between. That is Fromsoft character creation. But it's
the most gorgeous men you'll see in your life.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's one of the things that I love the most. And what this game did in terms of its open world, I think is fantastic. Because just before this game came out, I played through Horizon Forbidden West, which is that dinosaur hunting game. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Sweet.
But it falls into a lot of the same open world trappings that you get with so many games like that. Do you play a lot of open world games?
No, but I've but that's something like Breath of the Wild. Right, like where you can...
Breath of the Wild is a good example of a really good open world. And Horizon Forbidden West, it's not a bad open world, but it has a lot of the same problems that so many of them just kind of fell for. Namely Ubisoft. Ubisoft open world games are very guilty of having a lot of the same shit, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna copy paste all of this like mission specific content and just kind of put it all over the map here, just plop it in different areas. And we're going to, like, whenever you open the map, we're gonna show you where all of it is. So you can, you know, get your completionist on. You'll know exactly where to go for everything. But with Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, what they did incredibly well was that they don't show you many things on the map. In fact, if you go to the map, like when the game first came out, it'll only show you points of grace that you unlocked. And maybe it would show you the icon of like where a map fragment is that you haven't discovered yet. So you can walk there, you can pick up the map, and then it'll just show you, hey, this is what this area looks like. And you can pick up context clues on that map. Like if you see like a orange circle, like kind of a glowing orange circle with a black border around, it's like, oh, there's probably a cave or a mine over there. Or like if you can see like some ruins drawn in the map, there might be some ruins there. But it's not until you approach them that you learn what they are, and you still don't really know what their significance is. You just know, hey, you found it, and this is where it is on the map. But the only way, like, it gives you so little information. You're not sure how to track quests. You actually have to keep track of things yourselves, which I know is kind of like a turnoff for some people. Like, trying to actually follow a quest line can be difficult because you're only really given context clues through item descriptions and what a character says, and then you don't have a journal in-game to refer to. So you have to either remember it or just accidentally stumble upon them like I usually do. Which I think is just like really cool because it brought me back to the first thing it really reminded me of was Skyrim, honestly. Because you go out into the world and you can go any direction you want. The game tells you, hey, this is where the plot is. Like, that's where you got to go for the plot. But fuck it, do what you want. So you just kind of start wandering in random directions and you start discovering these crazy fucking things. Like, just for an example, one of my favorite experiences early in the game was I'm just wandering in these woods. Or right, no, I get teleported into these woods from a trap. Because sometimes boxes will open up and a mist will carry you away to a distant land. I'm just in this forest surrounded by large bears. Very big, murder me in one hit bears. I'm just walking around. They don't seem interested unless I get too close to them, so that's cool. And then I find this giant old stone building and I walk inside and there's an elevator. You get on it. It takes you down. For like a minute and a half, you're riding this elevator deep beneath the earth, and you find this underground society of like old ghost Vikings. And then you light all these torches and you kill their god, and then you can summon one of them. It's fucking crazy. And it's just something that I stumbled on. I wasn't told to go there. Nothing ever tells you to go there, really. But it's just such a cool thing to discover. Has anything like that happened with you in your playthrough where you're just kind of like wandering around and you're like, oh shit, this is like a interesting thing?
Yeah, it really does feel like you're transported into this world, because like everything is so gorgeous in Elden Ring that like I keep saying that even the worst view when you look out in Elden Ring is still the best thing you've ever seen in the game. Like it's still so pretty. And I sometimes, you know, if the chat has like been like, oh, we could do this thing if you want, and given me ideas, we go do these things. Sometimes I'll just wander around and just like, you know, kill things every once in a while. But sometimes I stumbled upon a cave on my own, and like you just like you buckle in and you're like, I guess this is just what we're doing for the next hour or whatever. And it really feels like you're an adventurer exploring in this like really it feels so, it's just so pretty. It just feels like I've been transported into this world where you just
organic.
wander. Yeah.
Nothing about it feels manufactured. One of the things I brought up with my chat is one thing that always kind of gets me in like some open world games where, you know, you're like doing quests. I always feel like I'm a side character in somebody else's story when I'm doing a quest in a lot of these games. It's like, oh yes, my father did this and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, I'll help give you purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I go and like, I fulfill their dream and they're like, oh yes, now I can blah, 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 blah. But with this, when you run into somebody, it's like, oh yeah, I ran from that castle because everything was trying to kill me. My dad's still there. I hope he's all right. Whatever. If I make it there, I'll check on him, I guess.
Yeah, like, and sometimes, funny enough, like you can play this game so differently. Like that's why the idea for 3 levels of gaming was something that was rolling around in my head for a while, because I love the 3 levels of cooking videos, which is where they take, you know, 3, like an amateur, like no skill.
Yeah, I've seen those.
chef.
Epicurious, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. And then a middle range, like, you know, I work in a restaurant, I'm pretty skilled at cooking, and then a professional chef. And watching those videos changed the way that I think about everything in life. And whenever I begin a new video game, I just think about how someone else has done this same thing that I'm doing in a completely different way. And I thought it'd be so fascinating to try that with gaming. And then Elden Ring came along, and it was kind of the best possible game to begin this with, because it is, you know, everyone plays it so differently. And you know, even with our playthroughs, you mean Stefan playing, there are some points where some of us intersect, but then immediately go off in different directions. Like, you didn't do the beginning tutorial dungeon until later. You came backwards, but Stefan and I did it right away.
Yeah, I skipped it because I didn't even realize I was supposed to jump down there. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm leaving.
I totally wouldn't have jumped down there, but the chat was like, maybe you should jump down there, Jesse. And I was like, okay. I definitely would not have jumped down there on my own. So like, you can totally play this game in totally different ways. And there's some scenes at the beginning of that video where I have the horse and you two don't. And it's because I didn't get serious about playing the game until after I got the horse. So I like just completely there's no, I don't think that anyone could play that game identical to another person, like completely one-to-one, did all of the same steps. And that's so interesting. Just as a person to like examine, like, that's so cool that we have a video game that like is so detailed and shit that you can just do whatever you want. You can be whatever kind of adventurer you want. And sometimes I'm killing little baby crabs and shit, and I'm like, am I the bad guy? I don't know. Like, what? Are we the baddies? I don't know.
There's some things in that world where you just kind of like feel bad to hurt them. Like, I know that if you're playing an archer, you kind of have to kill some animals in order to make arrows, because, I mean, they are the primary components in making arrows, or their bones. But I think everybody has agreed you don't kill turtles. Every little sign I've seen in front of one is like,
sorry, what?
Dog.
Oh, do you mean dogs?
Yeah. Yes. Is this dog? Behold, dog. It's like, yes, good dog. Nobody hurts turtles. Not allowed.
Yeah.
Especially because there's like one turtle that's a very special turtle that I really hope you meet at some point. You said you've beaten Margit now, right?
Yes.
All right, so you're...
I know the special turtle you're talking about.
You know Turtle Pope?
Yeah, we attempted to get there. Something prevented us. I forget what it is. I think I needed to get stronger or something. But I will eventually meet the very good dog.
The very good dog. Which, you know, you say, you know, trying to get there. It's amazing to me, and I didn't discover this until after I made it through the castle that Margit was guarding. But you can skip that whole fucking castle by walking along its side.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's a path around it. There's like a cliffside path that you can go through just to like, no, skipping that part. Not doing it. I'm not fighting through that castle. This ain't my war.
Yeah.
You can just go straight past it. And it's amazing because like you don't think that there is. But off the beaten path, lo and behold, there's a way. There are ways to get around so many things in this game, and so many of the bosses that I assumed are optional, or I assumed were mandatory, are optional.
Yeah.
Like, there are a number of optional bosses in this. I think the speed run for this game, at least pre-patch, yeah, under half an hour.
Damn.
And that's crazy, because I have...
insane.
Yeah, I have over 90 hours locked in this game so far. And I was like, I'm still going, man.
Yeah. And that's fucking wild. I love that you can, like, you could be 50 hours into this game and still not beat Marge. Like, there's so much to do.
Even just in that tiny southern area, which, by the way, this map is fucking huge. Like, if you look at your map right now, it'll expand. It'll get way bigger than what it is, to the point that every time I unlocked a new area, I'm like, no way, there's more. Like, this goes further. I just, holy crap. Like, it just kept going. And every area has its own beauty. Like you said, almost any spot you can just kind of stand and just look out and look at these majestic views. Although I remember the first time I found one of those little floor messages that said, "Behold, gorgeous view," but it just happened to be at the moment where there was nothing but fog everywhere. Like, I'd stepped into Silent Hill, I'm like, ah, beautiful.
There was some stuff that you cut from the video just because it doesn't make time, but I did edit that part. Right. Because I was like, oh, that's great.
It's gorgeous.
We made the same joke when you first start the game. It's the whatever of anticipation.
Yep.
Both of us just stopped and then just did other things.
Patient.
Yeah.
You can't not love Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Tim Curry is a goddamn national treasure of every nation. He's every nation's treasure. But yeah, just between everything and how you're able to kind of build your character how you want. Like, I just ran like full Unga Bunga strength build. Just nothing in between. It got to the point where I'm too stupid to handle some weapons. Like, I don't have the instruction manual for some of these swords.
Yeah.
I just can't hold them because I'm too dumb.
Yeah, Strump, we're doing a himbo build. Like, just everything in strength and health. And eventually he's getting to the point where we can't hold items, and
you need stamina. Like, I think my second most amount of points is in stamina, just so I can hold big Unga Bunga weapons.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I can dual wield colossal heavy swords, so I'm like, I'm good.
Nice.
Just smash. It's so satisfying to play like that, because so many people talk about broken builds in this game, like bleed. Bleed is apparently the meta where you hit things so much and it just like knocks out a huge chunk of health. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm just gonna have a crap ton of strength, and every time I jump and slash down, I'm gonna take out a quarter of this thing's health. Or for some like normal enemies, all of it. Just one smash everything. All I have to do is not get hit and then hit them. That's the win. That's all you gotta do.
I've had to start getting strategic because Strump has become too heavy to roll.
Oh no.
So, like, you'll try to roll and it's just clunk, like he sinks into the earth and there's this big noise. And I didn't realize what that was. And the chat was like, hey, Strump's getting too heavy. He's got too much stuff on him.
Yep.
And I was like, what? That's a thing?
In Fromsoft, they call it fat rolling.
Yes. Yeah, they keep saying that. Now I knew that term.
Yeah. You need enough stamina so that you can medium roll. Luckily, there are items out there that can help you get some buoyancy back in your step. Some talismans that you can slap on yourself to make yourself have like more carry weight.
Some buoyancy back in our boy.
Yeah, some buoyancy. Got to make Strump buoyant so you can roll quicker.
It's fun because I also there will be. I get upset when I lose my runes. I keep telling the chat, like, yell at me if I don't collect my runes. We have to go get them. I will forget. I will just wander off because the game is so big and pretty. I'm like, oh, a butterfly. Let's go look over there. Ah, shit. I lost like 5,000 runes. And someone was like, do you want a way to get like a shit ton of runes? And I was like, okay. And he's like, all right. And he guided me through. We're gonna go this way. Jesse, you're gonna see a lot of scary things. Just keep running. And I'm like, what? And he's like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Keep going. All the buddies from Air Buddies are fine. Don't think about it.
Never worry about it.
Keep going. And like, yeah, I was on this very scary path. There's like dragons everywhere, and Strump's just running. I'm like, oh my god. No, just keep going. It's fine. Everything's fine. And eventually we got there, but it's very fun to see all these things that I could fight one day. And I just had to the scene from it's not Bly Manor, it's the thing that comes before it where the dad's like, close your eyes, they're like, don't even, I'm just gonna carry you, and he carries the kid and there's like ghosts everywhere and he's like, don't worry, everything's fine, just running. So that's fun that you can just choose what you want to do. I don't have to fight all these dragons if I don't want to.
The area that you're talking about, Kaled, the main boss of that area is probably one of the coolest bosses I've seen in a FromSoft game.
Oh, yeah.
He's this big, massive dude, and he just rides this tiny, like, he looks like a Looney Tunes character riding a tiny little horse, but he's like the size of Giga Bowser.
Hell yeah.
It's fucking hysterical. But he's an absolute monster. You fight him on a massive beach, and you can summon in up to like 5 or 6 NPCs to help you. It's like a raid boss, and it's so cool.
Hell yeah.
Probably one of my favorite fights in any game. Also, apparently an optional boss. But one of my on my adventure through, after I finished Stormvale Castle, I went back and I thought, okay, now this is still part of that opening continent, so clearly they wanted me to do this first. I go through there, not realizing it is a significantly higher level area than I should be conquering. I was like, man, they upped the difficulty. I'm just like swinging through here, and then finally I realized, like, I hit a wall. Like, I hit a boss wall in that area, like, okay, I gotta go check somewhere else. You know what, let's see what's north of Stormvale. Maybe I'm strong enough to handle there. I'm one-shotting everything. I'm killing everything in one hit. I'm like, I did this in the wrong order. I made a mistake. Like, I'm going through there. I'm even like two-shotting some bosses. It's like, okay.
That's fun when you get, like, I've had some instances where, like, I'll get messages, you know, where you read the messages on the floor, and a bunch of them are like, didn't expect weak foe, where I'm preparing for, like, okay, let's fucking do this. I've got my dogs. I summoned my dogs. I've got this. We're gonna do this. And then the battle is over in like a minute. I'm like, oh, okay. I feel good.
And that's another beautiful thing about this, which I do think makes it very user-friendly, like beginner-friendly, is since you have all of these options at hand to, you know, give yourself aid, you can kind of customize your own difficulty. There's been a huge debate for years and years, ever since the Souls games really got popular in the Dark Souls franchise, should they have an easy mode? And a lot of the hardcores are like, no, it shouldn't have an easy mode, and honestly, in a way, I kind of agree with that. On one hand, yes, every game should be accessible. You should be able to play it no matter what your skill level is. If you want to enjoy a game, you should be able to enjoy it. But on the other hand, it kind of has its own built-in, like, it's always had a built-in, you know, difficulty mechanic in that you can do the RPG thing and just grind out levels to make yourself stronger for any situation. Now, there are going to be those hardcores that'll run through on a level 1 wretch, never level up build, because there are crazy people that do that are just like, yeah, I'm gonna run through with just a tiny stick and never level up. I'm gonna have stats, like all of my stats are 1, and I'm gonna beat the game. And there are people that can do that, and Godspeed to them. I don't have that patience. Like, so you're kind of like crafting your own game experience as you go. Do you want to use your summon ashes here? Okay, you can. Do you not want to make the fight a little harder on yourself? Do you want to use a magic build? Do you want to use strength? Do you want to use bows? There are so many different ways that you can play. It's super customizable. That the way I found that I truly enjoy playing is that, okay, I like fighting a boss where I still have to dodge, I still need some skill involved, but I don't want to be fighting it all day. So when I hit it, I want to hit it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hit it hard. If I have to fight this boss, like if I'm going to sit in this boss and fight it for a half hour, that's not fun to me. Especially if that boss ends up killing me in that half hour and I have to do it again.
Yeah.
So if this fight will take me, you know, 2 or 3 minutes, perfect. That's like a great length of time for me to fight a boss.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I totally didn't think about it that way, because, like, also in the beginning, you're right, there's like all those different, I don't know what the word is for it, but, like, you know, there's warrior and like this guy.
Yeah, the classes.
Yeah, there's different ones that you can choose, and you know, me not knowing anything, the chat, like, you know, I went to the very end of it and I was like, oh, it's just a naked guy. You could just be a naked person.
Yep.
And they were like, that's gonna be more difficult, Jesse. And I was like, that makes sense. Let's go to the beginning. And it does make sense that you could just, like, this game is so customizable that, like, even if I wanted to start at a beginner difficulty where I'm, like, using all of the aids that they give me, even if a boss is, like, too hard for me, if I'm like easing off of it and I'm like, I can handle this without summoning my dogs, if I'm fighting him for like half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever, and I'm getting a little frustrated or I want to move on, I'm like, okay, I'll summon my dogs now. So I like it. It does feel like there's like a built-in you can change the difficulty as you go along kind of element to it.
Yeah, because as you go, not only can you eventually you'll be able to upgrade the little spirit guys that you summon, like up to like level 10, I think, where they get like way stronger than their base form. But you can also upgrade your weapons, which is honestly more scaling than you get than leveling. Like I eventually found the Guts Sword, you know, the Berserk Guts Sword.
I've been using that too.
It's so good. Like if you're doing an Unga Bunga strength build, there's no better weapon early game.
Yeah, because people are watching both of our streams and they're like, they keep saying like, it's so funny that Jesse and Nick are using the same sword. And I was like, oh, are we? That's cool.
Yeah, we started with the same class, and yeah, that particular great sword, super good. And you have to go through the T-Rex dogs to get it.
Yeah.
And I love those things. They remind me of Scrappy Doo from the like the monster Scrappy Doo from the live action movie.
I saw someone made a Twitter post like that where I think it's like the wiki where someone describes a character as, it's like when Scrappy Doo gets large in the classic 2001 movie or whatever the fuck. I know that's an amazing comparison.
I remember like my chat was like, oh man, Taka hates these. I'm like, how can you hate these? Look at them, they're adorable. Just running at you. I mean, yeah, they can one-shot you, but they're adorable when they do it.
I'm getting mad at the birds with swords.
Birds with swords are mean.
Who gave those birds swords? It's not okay.
Took away their talons. It's so rude.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that like the birds are probably like my third most annoying enemy in the entire game, mostly because, again, due to using the sword, you don't have any like real verticality with it.
Yeah.
You have to do a jumping strike if you want to hit the bird when it's up, and that's not always effective because the bird's really good about flying around you. So yeah. But on the other hand, like on the other side of that, that does make it kind of cool that certain builds are better against certain enemies.
Yeah.
Like a magic build is good against that stuff, but they aren't quite as good at trying to like whittle down a boss because you have to use up so much of your magic resource, your FP, to do so, or upgrade your magic to the point where that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon.
Exactly. I've honestly, like, one thing I want to do, and something this game has been really cool about is as you go through and you pick up more gear and you pick up more spells, because as an Unga Bunga, I can't cast anything. So I'm seeing all these things, and I'm already thinking of, like, what else would I want to play? Like, if I go back through, what else would I want to try to build in this game? And it's so interesting just, like, look, because I've already thought, like, ooh, have you ever seen like any of those guys that just cast those like weird mind bullets out of their eyes?
I don't think I have yet.
Okay, there's this certain class of faith magic that's basically derived from madness, and it's something that
yeah.
And as you use it, it also hurts you, but it like devastates everything around you. I'm like, I kind of want to make like an insane person. Just like go full madness build on one of these, because it just sounds fun, and that's what this game like really brings out. It's like, oh, I could do that, or I could do this, and that's where I kind of get that reminder of Skyrim again, where it's just like, oh, you know, I played through as like, you know, a standard Nordic warrior or something, but now I want to go through as a mage or a summoner. Like I thought about, what would it be like to try to play this game like Pokemon, where you just level up your ashes and just select between, like, I choose this one for this encounter? Because you get a lot of those, too. There are a lot of summoning ashes. Yeah. They aren't all good, but they're all very situational. Some of them can be, like, one of them is just this group of 5 guys with shields, and all they do is they run up to the enemy and just, like, block them in. So it's clearly meant for somebody that's doing, like, a long-range build. Not somebody that's going to be up there swinging. Whereas there are some that you can summon in that will give you like long range support while you're up there beating the crap out of something. And some of them like a mix in between. It's really cool how many options they give you for each build that really makes you kind of think about what you might want to play later on in the game.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating like that. And that's why I think this is easily, man, it might be my favorite Fromsoft game.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot, because like I love Bloodborne, I love Sekiro. The Dark Souls games, I love 3, hit or miss on the rest of them. And Demon's Souls was good for its time. I played the remaster of that, and it's all right. I think it looks beautiful, but that's about that.
Well, that's a good sign that
Yeah.
like Elden Ring is the most recent game and might be your favorite. You know, like that means they're doing something right. They're moving.
It really does feel like the culmination of all the stuff they've been building towards in a lot of ways. Just kind of like the perfection of a lot of the formulas that they've been going through. Mm-hmm. I remember before this game came out, there were a lot of complaints about they're recycling so many animations, they're reusing so many mechanics. I'm like, yeah, because they work. But they're still adding to it by making this massive world that's just full of mysteries and neat little things to explore. And sure, you can go on a wiki and find every little thing you want. You can go through and do your collect-a-thon. But to me, that's not what a first playthrough is for. A first playthrough, you make a lot of mistakes. You accidentally abandon quest lines and find an NPC you liked corpse just kind of sitting out in the middle of a field somewhere because you forgot to check in on them.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, I was wandering around this area. I'm like, and I saw like, oh, there's an item over there by the crossroads. I pick it up, and when an NPC that sells you stuff dies, they'll drop this thing called a bell bearing, which will allow you to give it to another NPC so you can still buy the things that they had. And I'm like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, he's dead. Oh. Oops. My bad.
Yeah. And it feels more real that way.
Yeah.
Like, rather than like, you know, sometimes when I play games, like you were describing in Assassin's Creed and stuff, where it's like, I'm gonna do these things, and then like, it's like that guy's waiting for you forever, so you can come and do that quest. But now it feels like there's consequences to your actions.
In this game, time passes. If enough time passes between you helping out that person, they die or they finish what they were doing. Like there are certain NPCs. Like I finished one full quest line. There's like a really cool quest line involving the lady that actually gave you your dogs to summon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she has a really long and convoluted quest line that I actually did need chat's help to figure out some of the stuff for it, because sometimes you don't think to talk to a doll at a campfire.
Yeah.
Fromsoft is very convoluted in a lot of ways.
You don't think to talk to that doll 6 times.
You don't think to talk to the doll 6 times at 2 different campfires. You're correct. Need to be at the right campfire while you're talking to it too, I think. But yeah, eventually the doll talks to you and it helps you finish the quest.
Yeah.
Neat. And it all involves going into like so many different areas that are entirely optional. Like an entire chunk of the map is unlocked by going through this quest line. And there's another quest line where you're like traveling through a volcano. It's nuts, the kind of stuff that this game will throw at you. And you're just like, okay, I'm along for the ride now. This is my adventure.
The thing that I keep accidentally doing is like every time we go back to the round table, I want to go get a hug from Fia. And
you need hugs.
Yeah.
It's good to have a nice snuggle.
But when you have the Baldigan's blessing, it like something happens where like your HP is temporarily lowered or something like that.
You lose 10% of your max HP.
Yeah. And I keep forgetting that. So like half an hour will go by, I'm fighting people, and then someone's like, Jesse, do you have the blessing in your inventory? And I'm like, ah, fuck. Okay, we gotta do that. Sorry, guys.
What's funny is, I got that blessing at first. I have never used it. It has stayed in my inventory the entire time. Sometimes somebody will pop into my chat and they'll just be like, you still have the Baldican's blessing. I'm like, hey, if I die because of love, it's worth it. I got snuggles. And I am not gaining poise to lose my snuggles.
Hell yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
If this is how I go out, you know what?
The point, like, the big thing is, like, 10% of your health, it might seem like a lot, but when most enemies 1 or 2 shot you anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The grand scheme of things, like, ah, man, if only I had that extra 50 health. That would have done it.
Ah, well, I got a hug.
You gotta keep your snuggle debuff. The snuggle debuff is worth it.
Yeah. And just another way that like you can customize the experience.
Exactly.
You can just keep it in there.
I just, you know what? I have artificially made the game more difficult by keeping snuggles. That's it. That's what I've done.
Love makes our journey harder sometimes, but sometimes it's worth it.
Exactly. If I die because I gambled on love, then it will have been worth it.
Yeah. That's how Driddick goes.
That's how Driddick does it. Oh my god. So obviously I put on a voice when I'm playing on stream. I've had 2 noise complaints because of how intense Driddick can get. A cop has come by my house twice
Don't you live in a house?
I do.
By yourself?
That's how loud I am, apparently.
Oh my god.
The second time they came by, they said, because it was the same cop twice in a row. Not 2 days in a row, but like it was the same cop that came by the second time. He knew that I was just streaming and doing some stuff the first time. The second time I was like, look, man, I'm just getting these complaints. They're worried that you might be schizophrenic and that you might try to hurt somebody.
Oh, no.
So like, well, I can assure you that's not what's happening. But, you know, I know you're just doing your job. And he's like, so what are you doing up there? Well, I'm a voice actor by trade, so I do a bunch of different things. It's like, yeah, because I was like, the voice you're talking to me now, not the voice I was hearing when you were yelling up there. I'm like, yeah, no, it probably wasn't. He's like, yeah, nope, that was it.
I can assure you, here's the link to the stream. Okay,
Here,
you can watch
join
the whole
me.
time.
You can give me a follow. And
Do you watch Twitch?
do you like Twitch? Just go ahead and follow me on Twitch. You can also follow me on YouTube. I don't post as much there, but hey, do you like Dragon Ball?
Oh my god. I luckily, like, because this is also I'm not used to gaming as intensely as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And now I yell when I'm excited about, like, beating a boss and stuff. But, I think my apartment is just set up in a way where, like, I don't hear anything from my other neighbors, and they don't hear anything from me. But my downstairs neighbors, sometimes I hear them, like, going at it and doing things, and I think that's why they don't complain about me, though.
Right.
And I think that's the thing, is because, like, they can't talk because they're way noisier.
It's an unspoken agreement, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, I can yell at video games at 4 a.m, and you can do whatever you're doing.
It's nice
Moving tables.
it's nice to have good neighbors like that. I've had crappy neighbors where like the worst was when I still lived with my dad in an apartment back in Minnesota, and one of those neighbors was one of those like grab a broomstick and hammer on the roof kind of neighbors. Like, really, are you fucking kidding? Like, I was younger, so I still like worked later. I maintained relatively normal hours, and that's the worst thing about the noise complaint I got. Is I usually end my streams by 10, you know, a reasonable time for people to, like, go to bed.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you don't need to worry about me yelling at this point onward.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get these complaints, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's 7:30. Shut up.
Yeah, that's like...
I could be doing construction right now and it would be legal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the crazy part to me.
Yeah. My apartment in Philly was like that, where, like, well, I was mad at them. Like, my neighbors, I could hear... Because also, the dude just sucked. I moved, so I'm fine talking about that. The dude sucked.
Sometimes you have shitty neighbors.
Yeah. He was like... Because, like, I didn't want to hear your drama, but now I know that your baby mama is mad at you, and then you said that, like, you were going over to this place with your sister. Turns out it was a girl that you were cheating with.
Oh, shit.
I didn't want to know that. But I guess I'm here for the ride because I literally can't exist in my house without hearing what's happening next door. So it was a fun soap opera for a bit.
Gotta love those neighbors that'll argue in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a few of those back in Minnesota, like just yelling in the parking lot about their drama. I was like, okay, guys, you can go inside, but go on. I'll hear this out.
Yeah, I'll buckle in. I'm eating a sandwich. I could be watching Air Bud, World Pup, but instead...
God. Can't believe that, like... So are the Buddies movies, like, done?
They haven't made one in a while.
Okay, in a
So
while.
hopefully...
So they're up for a revival.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're up for a reboot. Like, any day now, if they wanted to nuke the whole series and just start again, no talking. The dogs can't talk.
Not anymore.
Was there about a lab or a retriever?
Retriever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I own the lab. I know they get mixed up a lot. But they, one of the movies is Golden Receiver. So that's a fun way to remember. I think that's the second one. Why do I know this much about Air Bud? I hate this.
Because you've been recently binging the series. You are Team 4 Star's Air Bud lore master now.
That's I'm putting that on my business card.
Business card, boom. Air Bud lore master.
Lore consultant, dog movie.
Well, then you need to add more dog movies to the repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Then it becomes a whole thing. I'll get my major in it. I need to keep watching the movies. I don't want to, but I have to.
It's good. It's good background noise for when you're making it through Elden Ring.
It is. Just grinding and the dog movies on the other screen. I'm like, oh,
Look at him go. I can't believe he's playing golf.
Yeah.
Is there a movie where he played golf?
I would love that.
I feel like he should. Well, and I'm trying to think of what it would be called. Oh man, it would have to have been the 4 one. Let's see, I'm trying to think like fairway, hole in one.
Yeah,
It's hard.
Hole in Wolf, I don't know.
Something, I don't know. Is that teeing up is still...
Teeing up, Really hard to get a dog pun in there. Help us out in the comments. I need a dog pun for Airbud playing golf. We need to make this happen. You want your Airbud parody? He's playing golf.
In the should I say? Yeah, okay. It's a parody where he plays esports, and it's called,
oh shit.
I was talking about it when we were doing a TFS at the table, and Zito,
That's right.
they gave me the idea. Poggers.
Poggers.
It's called Dog Bud Poggers. And it's very stupid, and I'm very happy with it. And it's so funny, like, it's something that I'm putting so much work into this stupid movie that's just going, you get like a little scene each episode, because there's an actual show going on. It's very dumb, but it's so funny that there's gonna be a lot of production, like, put into this fake movie when there's an actual show going on. People will be like, do I want to see this actual movie? And like, this is...
And then you release it as an April Fool's joke, just a 20-minute movie of Air Dog Poggers.
Yeah.
There you go. Ah, beautiful. Yeah, I love Elden Ring. I think I'm gonna beat it tonight because I'm at the last area. Like I said, I just beat the fuck you optional boss after obscene amounts of like running my head into it. But
Phase 2 is so much easier than Phase 1.
you say that, but it still has the same insta kills. Like
I feel like the gimmick with them is just so hard to get around, at least for my character.
Luckily, like the second phase for me, I ended up getting them locked in a stagger, like because I summoned Other Dritic, which is my mimic tier, which honestly probably the best summon in the game because it's so cool. You are able to literally summon a copy of yourself, whatever you were wearing at the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's just two Unga Bungas just womping them with like massive swords. And finally, like the run where I got it, we just got it stun locked, like whack, 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 whack. It's like, yes, finally.
How do you feel about it after the nerf?
Honestly, the nerf didn't matter too much for me because I was never really using Other Dritic for damage. I just needed them to face tank some shit for me. And they still do that just fine. But since they use a massive weapon, it doesn't matter how much damage they do the same amount of stagger and poise damage.
And they can still kiss each other.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
Exactly. That actually reminds me, funny enough, of like, I end up like getting killed by a couple of things, like a couple of these like frog-looking dudes. And then like one of them walked up to another one, they just like touched faces for a little while, and they both turned around and walked away like, aw, they love each other.
That's beautiful.
So from that point on, I couldn't kill any of them because, like,
that's a hate crime.
I now know they have relationships.
Yeah.
I now know they love, they feel. So I can't kill the frog people. Unlike the monsters, which clearly have a sense of workers' rights. And you know what? I feel bad about most of the things I kill. But when they try to kill me, the gloves come off.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I feel bad for the birds with swords, but if they kill me so fast is the thing. It's so fast.
Wait until you get the birds with barrels.
Oh,
barrels and swords, I'm sorry. The birds never get easier. What enemy do you think has killed you the most, outside of bosses?
Outside of bosses. I was gonna say the minor Erdtree I'm having a lot of trouble with.
Minor Erdtree is a mini boss,
yeah.
but
we keep going back. I think we've made 4 different trips where I've been like, can't do it now, let's go do something else, and then come back, I'm gonna do it this time. Nope. Oh, it's probably, I don't know how to describe it. It's like those things, they're in the castle where they can fly and they got fucked up faces. Like they look like a medieval painting, like.
Oh yeah.
It's like bad to look at.
Those gargoyle-looking dudes.
Yeah, and before I was a high enough level to like take them on competently, they would just rip my shit apart. And it's scary enough to like get killed by something really fast, but when they look like that, I was like, this is so unpleasant. I hate this so much.
For me,
it was giant prawns.
For me, I'm pretty sure the enemy type that has killed me the most has been dogs. It's almost always dogs. Dogs are probably the things that have killed me most outside of bosses. Outside, like, and also not gravity. Gravity kills me a lot too. I fall to my death a lot.
I love when that happens. Totally accidentally. I'll be fighting on a bridge or like a stairway or something, and I'm like, this is gonna be the run, and I walk backwards one step. And I'm like, no, my runes! Cool.
The thing about the dogs in all of Fromsoft games, every single one, it'll always be the dog that gets me. They're so quick to react when you're about to like attack. They'll be like, oh, he's gonna move. Oh no. Boom. Bite.
Yeah, because you do the big slam, and then it takes you a few seconds to like...
And if you try to swipe them from the side, especially with the big swords, you usually go right over their heads. So it's like, oh no, oh no. And then they're biting you again. And the dog, they bite so hard.
Yeah.
They take out like a fifth of your health meter in like one go. It's nuts. Dogs, no joke in the Elden Ring. Or any FromSoft game, really. Especially Bloodborne. Bloodborne dogs are scary, terrifying. They change a man.
They're back.
They are.
They're furrier than ever.
They really are. And there are so many different types of dogs in Elden Ring. There are the wolves. There are regular attack dogs. There are the attack dogs that will also poison you. Then there are bigger, shaggier, muddier dogs. There are a lot of dogs. Oh, and then the Scrappy Doos.
Yeah.
And their cousins that are just different colored Scrappy Doos, but are also Scrappy Doos.
No Scoobies, just
no Scoobies.
Cousins of Scrappies that are also Scrappies.
Yep, all Scrappies.
Oops, all Scrappies.
Oh, man. I want James Gunn to write that one now. But yeah, final thoughts on Elden Ring?
I like it. It's fun.
Solid. Gonna continue on your playthrough. I know Stefan has finished his off. He's never been a big FromSoft guy to begin with. Like he's good at the mechanics, but doesn't enjoy the overall run through until you beat the things kind of ideology towards the game.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah.
But that's also a fun element of like the three levels of gaming where it's so interesting that like me as the newbie, I'm like, this is fun, I want to keep playing. And then you as like the advanced, you're like, this is fun, I'd like to keep playing. And then the middle is like, I don't know. Like, so it's interesting to like...
There are a number of games where he and I, like, I do get kind of like tired of some games. I have only beaten one Mario game in my life because so many, I love them. I think they're all amazing and fun in their own way. But by the end of the game, I'm like, I feel like I've done all this before.
That makes sense.
And I just kind of get tired and move on to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one did you beat?
Yoshi's Island. We beat that on the gaming channel, actually. Oh. So there's live footage of it. So that is the one that I've beaten. Yeah, Elden Ring, obviously I'm loving it. I'm already talking about going through on like another playthrough of a different character type.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun, and I'll continue to enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's basically like a new Skyrim for me, where it's a game I could probably go back to every couple of years and just enjoy a new playthrough, which I'll still do in Skyrim. Like you boot it up again, it's like, okay, let's go through and maybe add a couple of mods to it and see what it holds. And this game, it already has some baked-in DLC bait, basically, where there's one area that you go to eventually where there's a character there, and it's like, okay, it feels like there should be something more here. And so I feel like eventually there's going to be some DLC with that whole thing. And I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I've already seen a mod where people are like, yeah, I saw one where you play as Homer Simpson. Like, just like silly shit. You go and like the golden asshole at the beginning on the horse is like Shrek and Donkey.
That's great.
Yeah, I would love to see some fun mods with this.
I'm sure they will continue to pour in, especially as long as it's on PC. Of course, it's going to happen. Yeah. Let us know what you think of Elden Ring, and of course, help us with a Air Bud golf movie pun.
It's very important.
That's the most important part. I hope you're all helping out with that. But until then, thank you so much for joining for the Talkcast Podshow. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.